I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask everybody to rise and salute the flag. Pledge of allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are going to start with school committee member and student reports, starting with the chair report. Was extremely glad that I was able to get to the high school yesterday and actually see the 5 student presentations, as well as a presentation from Dr. Mark Brackett, thank you, from Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. I think it's very timely, also considering that we're part of the Gateway City Initiative, and the Gateway City just issued a report about social and emotional wellness among students and how important that is in Massachusetts. So a big issue. I believe the superintendent has actually emailed you an electronic version of that report, and I would definitely advise all of you to take a look at that and also take a look at the presentation from Dr. Mark Brackett as well. Resource Committee, I'm not sure we have
nothing at this time.
Policy. Student support. So we'll be announcing all of these subcommittee meetings as they come. School personnel.
No report.
And we're waiting for a student. Okay. There's no executive session. Any business or communication? I know we have before us the GoFundMe Crocker Field stand restoration. I believe these are flyers that we'd ask you to go and post in locations to encourage people to go to the website and to help donate to the stand. All right, at this time we're going to have public comment. Anybody here wishing to speak now versus later? Seeing none, going to move on to the superintendent report.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. I'll follow up on your comment on the GoFundMe. So the concession stand, as everyone knows, at Crocker Field was burned. We're going to be able to, that'll be covered by insurance, but there's a deductible of $25,000. So last Thursday, I started a GoFundMe site. So, and the camera I know is going to focus on it. It's gofundme.com/Crocker Field. And at last, when I looked at it a few hours ago, we were on the verge of $3,000. So just in a few days, that's pretty good. So I would just encourage anyone out there who wants to help support Crocker Field to make a donation to our GoFundMe fund for that. It's a community venue, but it's really used so much by the public schools for all of our athletic events. But don't worry, I'm told that that even if the concession stand's not there, there will be concessions being sold. So we'll have something temporary going on there. I also wanted to just give you an update on the Goodrich search for principal. I've been sending you information on that. We are reopening the search. In the meantime, Mr. Pellin is staying on part-time, and we have additional support when needed from high school staff. And this afternoon, I looked at the most recent posting, and we had 21 new applicants for the position. So I think that bodes well, and as that moves forward, I'll keep you informed. Tomorrow is the 3rd day of professional development for the Fitchburg schools, and in the late morning I will be meeting with the staff from Goodrich just to fill them in on where we are, where we're going, and to kind of let them know that as we're in this transition that we're still 100% behind the school, and we'll be doing everything to make sure that that works well. Luckily, over the years, Mike and Jeremy had been working together, and oftentimes the Goodrich staff has been joining the Fitchburg High School staff for professional development. So they've actually been over at the high school in this week working hand in hand with the staff at the high school for their professional development. So they're getting, a really good dose of PD this week. So that's the update there. The biggest item on the agenda and the purpose for this meeting, we have been going through the process of formalizing the Innovation School Prospectus into a formal plan. And the advisory board of trustees, the advisory trustees, and a special planning committee has been working since late spring. We've been following. There are regulations and there are very specific things that need to be done in order to move a plan forward and have a plan accepted by the Department of Education and have it on file. And part of that is a vote by the Planning Committee, and maybe we can talk a little bit later about who is on the Planning Committee, and then a vote by the whole staff of the school, and it required a 75% margin of majority for that, and then the last piece of that is a public hearing and a vote by the school committee. So at this time, I'd like to invite the principal of McKay Arts Academy, Lourdes Ramirez, to come up, and she has other people from either or both groups that she's going to have join you and talk to you about the part of the process that's been going on and where we're going from here. So, Lourdes, all yours.
Surely. So over last year's school year, we spent a lot of time, when I say we, my staff, teachers, specialists, service-related providers, and administration, revising all the components on the prospectus with the purpose of adding clarity to the document, transparency, and systems that were well-defined that would incorporate teacher leadership and collaboration in all components of the running of the school. So we knew that, we learned that we had to create a finalized plan to submit to ESC, and we formed a committee, the Innovation Planning Committee, that was composed of members of advisory, a member of school committee, Pete Stevens, gladly joined us in the committee. Also teachers, and Lisa Moisen representing our advisory, Annette Sullivan from the university, Sim Goodlett, and we met several times to revise each component of the plan and discussed it and made the necessary edits to finalize the plan. And that's what we are presenting, what's before you.
This plan has been gone over hundreds of times with a fine-tooth comb. Well, we found out tonight that there was a tooth missing in the comb, so when we pulled it over the last time, there was one hair still sticking up. And it's on page 15, if I can direct you to the plan you have in front of you on page 15, and it's at the very top, the first sentence. The sentence is related to hiring, and it says, the whole paragraph says, for new hires, the following process will be implemented. Administration will form search committees to develop job descriptions consistent with personnel job descriptions and in accordance with the FEA teacher contract. Interview applicants and recommend highly qualified individuals to fill staff vacancies, including, but not limited to, and that's there because as an innovation school, the school is able to create other positions outside of what we have. Assistant principals, teachers, administrative assistants, and academic coaches. And that's the word that I would like to have stricken from the document. And here's why. And I can see why there was confusion. The academic coaches are ELA coaches and math coaches. Those are district positions that are funded either out of the city budget or they're funded, Paula, if she's able to find money in grants, sometimes they're funded in grants. What's different about the Innovation School is one of the academic coaches is not funded like that. If you remember last year, we have the Ally coaches, which are the elementary and middle school advanced academic learning coaches. And last year, as part of the autonomy of the Innovation School, we decided to give them the money for that position and say, you know, you create an advanced academic learning position that fits into your philosophy, the vision, and the arts component of the school. So their ability to do that is covered by the line, but not limited to. So that line, but not limited to, allows the Innovation School to create other positions. The reason I'm asking it to be struck so that there's no confusion later on with an understanding that the district academic coaches fall within the purview of the Innovation School. So that's the only line, and I've already spoken to a couple of people tonight because I just saw it tonight to see if that was okay. So it's a friendly amendment, and it would simply be to accept this document and this plan as is, with the exception of striking academic coaches from it on page 15.
So would this or any other change require us to go back to the teachers to re-ratify, or?
I don't think so, because it's not a change by nature, and but not limited to allows the openness for the hiring of any and all teachers. But I'm open to. We've got a couple of teachers here, so
We actually
you know
have
if
4 of McKay's teachers here with us tonight, and I must add that we took a vote yesterday, the staff at McKay, and we had 98.5 teachers voting to approve this plan. So we are grateful and really impressed and looking forward to be able to implement the systems and the autonomies that are described in the plan.
So I don't see it as a substantive change
I
because
don't
it still
either.
allows all the hiring, but it probably would be good to hear from 1 or 2 teachers that are on the committee how you see it or what your thoughts are.
I would agree. I think that as it's something that really can't be changed, or that there's not a lot of choice involved, that's the way the coaches are hired. So it just seems like a necessary change that I don't think would have to go back.
Okay.
And the purpose is to add clarity, and I think that does add clarity
Right.
and accuracy to the document. So
And I think that's the point, is that all of our conversations have been about how do we create a document that has enough clarity so that if any and all of us are not here at some point, people would be able to take that document and know what it says. And as we looked over it, and Paula actually, she had talked about it before, as she looked at it tonight, said, you know, that's the one piece I was thinking, if it's there, it does not give clarity. But that's the only piece, and believe me, given the fact that we've really, and I think some of the things that should not be lost is that there are some major changes that have happened in terms of the funding mechanism for the school that we've all worked on, in terms of an understanding of you know, the pilot used to be a part of it, and now we're bringing forward a totally unified school under one agreement, you know, with one direction and one purpose. And I think that's the bulk of the work that was done, and done in a really, you know, deliberate and transparent way. So if you have any questions for me, for Lourdes, or for members of the board or staff.
I had a question, but it's on page 20 of the document. Would the evaluation of the, and this is just for my own curiosity, would the evaluation of the principal and associate dean include both the tools of DESE and Fitchburg State? So is this person going to get 2 evaluative tools?
Yes.
Do you want to answer? Come up and answer that. Introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Annette Sullivan, the Dean of Education at Fitchburg State University. So the position of Associate Dean Principal is a Fitchburg State University position. We pay the salary and all of that. So we have to use our evaluation. But it's important because of the role of principal that the same standards for all the other principals in the district are followed as well. So in the past, it wasn't really clear how that was going to be done, and so the previous position was evaluated by the Dean of Education using the Fitchburg State evaluation, but it really needed to be a collaborative effort between Fitchburg Public Schools and Fitchburg State University. So I will, as long as I'm in the position, evaluate Lourdes, as long as she's in the position, based on that job description and her relationship with the university as an associate dean. But certainly the superintendent, Andre, needs to address her work as a principal within the district. So, and we, Andre and I talk often.
And that's what we did this year.
Yes.
So the same evaluation that I used and that the staff used, I used that evaluation with Lourdes. So she has been evaluated from every possible aspect that you can find, and she's still sitting here before you. So that's a good sign.
And it wasn't clear before.
And also the rationale behind it includes that Andrew may see me in a different role in meetings and collaborating with staff in different venues than Annette would as a university employee.
And part of that is in the fact that the school is on our campus, that the event space is the connection between the education department and education programs in secondary ed as well, and even our liberal arts and sciences. That we have hundreds of students a year that do pre-practicum experiences in K Arts Academy. We now are having our faculty, our chemistry professor, working with the allied coaching the students in the school. So it's a great partnership. And so we just wanted to also clarify how it would be evaluated, and it's a give and take.
I want to thank the advisory board and all the people that put a lot of work into this. I know this is, I don't know what the 70th iteration of this plan, but there's a lot of information here about the processes in place, the methodology in which you'll be seeking input. There's a lot of things that say things like there'll be 3 stages of review and input and by such and such team. So I think a lot of thought went into this. Certainly, I have a lot of faith in the leadership to implement a great plan. I think the 98.5% staff buy-in is incredible, and it speaks volumes. I don't know if we've had anything that high recently, but
I don't know.
Mayor's approval ratings, I don't know, but it's great. I mean, this is an exciting project, but we know the devil's in the details. So you put together a great plan. It seems to have broad-based support. So I'm very excited about the new year. Any other questions from the group?
I guess I have one more. Are you on target as you're beginning, as kids are coming soon? Yeah. So as I looked at your year 1 implementation, I think the biggest is the scope and sequence. But
Right.
Are you ready for that? Are you?
We are ready, and a lot of these goals that are in place have some groundwork that has already been done.
Okay.
So a lot of these things we are further developing, and we had an outstanding professional development session today around writing, and we are eager and excited.
Right. Thank you, Lourdes.
And I also want to thank the parents that was involved in the process. Tracy Serrafield joined us as part of our school innovation planning committee, and I could not have asked.
Why don't we list who was on the committee for people at home?
Surely.
Front part of the.
So we had Andrew Ravenel representing the district as the superintendent, Pete Stevens as our school committee member, Annette Sullivan representing Fitchburg State University as the Dean of Education, Sean Goodlett representing as a parent, Tracy Serrafield also as a parent rep, Lisa DiTora, one of our humanities teachers, representing teachers, Tyler Nichols, also a humanities teacher representing teachers, Jen Brown, a second grade teacher also representing teachers, and Lisa Moisen as our chairperson of the advisory board for my K Arts Academy, and myself.
And that was regulated. The committee, the ESE has a document that says these are the people that you must have on the committee.
and we were vigilant that all the steps required and mandated were attended to and checked off.
Just a logistical question. The approval for tonight, do you think it's necessary to denote the changes you made on page 15?
What's that?
The approval, the vote?
Yeah,
Would we need to specify and amend that to include
I
the
would.
changes?
I would.
Okay.
That way it's clear.
All right.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go through, the way that we'll go through the rest of the agenda, because they're all action items, is I'm going to refer to the action items on the second page. So the first one is going to be a vote to authorize the McKay Arts Academy Innovation School. The second one is you need a representative to the FLAC board. Mr. Stevens is your representative to CAPS. So the second one is to appoint me as your representative to the FLAC board. That's the role I served in last year. Next is we need a recommendation. Bob and I met with the Community Foundation today. We're finalizing a lot of the documents and getting things in place for our account there under the Education Foundation. So we met with them today, and there will be a change to, I'll put this forward as a possible change to the next action item. It says the recommendation to nominate the mayor, and the change that Bob and I thought of today as we were meeting was or designee. Should the mayor not be able to serve on that committee that oversees the Education Foundation for the Fitchburg Schools, she or he could nominate someone for that purpose. So the change that I would recommend to that action item is the mayor, comma, or designee to serve as school committee rep to, and cross out oversee the scholarship fund, and change that to serve on advisory board at the Education Foundation. And this change in this action item is from our meeting this afternoon, where we really looked at the documents and looked at the exact language that we should be putting in related to this. So, Kim, did you get that change? Mm-hmm. So that's our recommended change for that action item. And so what we will have at the Community Foundation will be to simplify it, a bank account, which is a larger sum of money that cannot be withdrawn on, and that's the one that will be accumulating to be used for educational purposes, after-school programs, extracurricular programs, and then there's going to be a smaller account, which is kind of like the checking account, which would be used by the 21st Century program, or those where there's tuition that goes in, and that money's used to run the 21st Century program and buy groceries for after-school programs, things like that. So it's a little bit of both. The next one is supporting my recommendation to invest $36,040.50 in school choice funds to purchase chairs for the Lonjo Middle School. They were supposed to come in today. Yep. You're raising your hand.
That on action item 577, the 450 chairs and 220 tables should have been on the line item for Longsjo, not Crocker.
Okay.
You're answering my question before I ask.
Yeah. Well, Patty's on vacation this week. And this agenda we began last week when she was here, and we've been developing it and finalizing it this week. So if you ever wondered who was behind the curtain, there it is in terms of this kind of ongoing. These agendas, as you well know, they change probably 15 times from the time we start them until the time they finish. So that one, Bob, will you read that 15,575 as it will read?
So support the superintendent's recommendation to invest up to $30,040.50 in school. $36,040.50 in school choice funds for 450 chairs and 220 tables at Longsjo Middle School.
And I was over there today, and those were supposed to arrive today. We've pretty much refurnished the whole third floor at Lonjo with furniture that was donated from Fitchburg State University. Tons of tables and chairs and other things like that. After that was done, we took all the furniture off the 4th floor, which was a hodgepodge of furniture that from all over, and we've purchased brand new furniture. So that's going to be the 5th grade floor. So the incoming 5th grade at Lonjo will be coming into a floor that's had a lot of work done to it and has brand new furniture. The next one, support the superintendent's recommendation to invest $7,556 in school choice funds for window blinds at Lonjo Middle School. So what I've started on the 4th floor is a restoration of the window blinds. If you're familiar with the window blinds at Lonjo, they're metal, they're green, and they are in all state of disrepair. So starting this summer, we took all the blinds off of the Academy Street side on the 4th floor, and we've had new blinds made for that. Those will come in, those will be new. And my goal will be that as we go through the next couple of years, we'll do one side and one floor at a time and kind of move our way down to the first floor. Yep.
I have a question
Yep.
regarding 15575 and 15577.
Yep.
Now, the two amounts here, you have the 36,000, 40,050, and then you have the 9,347.80. Is that going to be the total for all of Lonjo? Because I came up with 45,388. So is that how much is going to be invested with?
So the 75 and 76 are Lonjo.
Right, but we have $2 amounts.
That's
This one was for Crocker.
No, the next one's Crocker. So the next one is Crocker, and that's an investment at Crocker of $9,347.80 in school choice funds for Crocker Elementary School kindergarten classes, which includes, and that wasn't specified. So it's just furniture and educational materials. Because as you not remember, we added the kindergarten.
Right.
And we weren't sure at first where it was going to land. Once the music stopped, it landed at Crocker. So we had to outfit a full kindergarten. So that's for the kindergarten. Then next on that is my recommendation to accept a total of 2 supplementary appropriations to the school department from the city for a total of $500,000 to help meet net school spending, $200,000 to maintenance salaries. If you remember, that was where we had a shortfall, and that is now going to cover the maintenance salaries, and the remaining $300 to reserve for school purposes. Then approve the superintendent's recommendation to transfer $750,375 from salary increases to reserve for school purposes account. Can you talk about that, Bob?
Yeah,
Explain that.
basically, I'm just recommending that because when the city auditor closed out the year and started the new year, he put those funds into that reserve for school purposes account. So now it'll be consistent with what the city's munis records have.
Then the next one is approve the superintendent's recommendation to accept the warrant, the $74 million. The next one, approve my recommendation to accept the other warrant, the $741,977.64. That's a dead warrant. $713,480.17. That's a dead warrant. For those at home, dead warrants means those have already been paid out. Live warrants, we haven't paid it yet, but you're approving the amount. Approve the superintendent's recommendation to accept the next warrant is $268,845.82, also a dead warrant. And then the last one is approve the superintendent's recommendation for the next warrant of $599,768.28, which is also a dead warrant. Yep.
On 15578, when we get the money from the city, does that come from the free cash? Where does that come from when they approve that?
It could come from all different sources.
Do we ever get a breakdown of where it comes from? I'm just curious.
Yeah, the approval by the city council says where it comes from. It'll say like appropriate available funds or transfer funds from this account to that account. And to be honest, I can't remember where the $300,000 came from.
Is that something that we can maybe get a copy of as you do it, as they're approving, so we know where it's coming from?
Yeah, I think we can probably attach the appropriation by the council, that language with,
We get it. We get
Our
it.
letter?
We get an electronic copy and a paper copy, so we can just attach it to that. Because so you'd have what the city council voted
Yeah.
that then backs this in terms of what's coming to us for net school spending.
90% of it will come from available funds or free cash, though. Or unless there's some one-time funding where this is appropriated for. Okay.
So is all of that 500,000, will that count towards the city's net school spending requirements? So that must bring us a lot closer to,
Yes.
what was it, about 7 something or 8? As of a few months ago, the last time we discussed it, it was,
Yeah, it's varying dramatically, so we're going to wait until we have actual numbers, and probably in October we'll have a really good a number.
but this is a positive step, certainly.
Yep. Okay. Superintendent, you're done?
Yep.
All right. Anyone wishing to speak on the agenda? Seeing none, we're going to move on to action items. The first one, I'd like to seek a amendment. First, proposing an amendment to 572 to include proving the superintendent's recommendation to authorize the McKay Arts Academy Innovation School. Should there be a plan in there? Plan for a period of up to 5 years, and to strike the words academic coaches from the top of page 15 of that plan.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor of the amendment? Say aye. Any opposed? It's amended. Now it's before you.
Make a motion to accept or approve the superintendent's recommendation to authorize the McKay Arts Academy Innovation School.
Yep, as amended. So, motion made and seconded to approve it as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's accepted. 573, this is appointing Superintendent Ravenel as a FLAC representative.
Make a motion.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 574, we need somebody to propose the amendment to include or designee after mayor.
So make a motion to amend to nominating the mayor and/or designee
And there was another change
Serve
to
on the
that.
advisory
to serve on the advisory board.
And instead of oversee the scholarship fund is replaced with serve on advisory board at the Fitchburg Education Foundation.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's now before you.
Make a motion to nominate the mayor or designee as a school committee rep on the advisory board, of the scholarship fund.
Is there a
On the
second?
advisory, yep. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 575, school choice funds for chairs for at Longjo.
Make a motion to spend the money.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next one is the window blinds at Longjo.
Motion to buy the blinds.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 577, the Crocker Field kindergarten materials.
Make a motion.
Crocker School.
Crocker School. What did I say? Crocker Field?
Yeah.
Did you? I read Cockrell.
Put a kindergarten in Crocker Field?
Yeah. I think there was a motion and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Crocker Elementary. Any opposed? 578, this is the supplemental budgets of $500,000.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. This is the transfer.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there a recommendation to pass all 4 warrants?
I make a motion to pass all 4 warrants. One time.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. No executive session. Anything else before we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Good job.
Perfect. Nice job.
Nice job.